Hello friends, welcome to my channel. Welcome to Dev with Excel. Alright, so in this video we shall be solving exercise 3.16, which is the step 4 of the phone book database part 3. Alright, so in the previous video we saw how we could actually change the backend so that deleting phone book entries is reflected in the database, right? And we verified that this implementation is also integrated with the front end, right? So we could perform this operation using either the backend or the front end. Okay, so in this exercise 3.16, we want to see how we can move the error handling of the application to a new error handler, right? So looking at this part of the material, this part of the note, we could see that here the next parameter or the next function which is passed in this handler is called here, right? And then the error is passed into this error. So now let's understand why we need to do this way. If you look at this part here, it tries to explain that the handler, right, that this particular handler, it passes this error, whichever error that is found in the code in this handler, it passes it forward with this next function, right? So this next function, it was helps pass the error forward, and the next function is passed to the handler as a third parameter, right? So we can see that this next function is passed in as a third parameter here, right? So the error that is passed forward is given to the next function as a parameter, which we can see here. So this error that we get is passed into this next function as a parameter. If next was called with an argument or without an argument, then the execution will simply move on to the next route or middleware. It's going to move to the next route we actually have. If it's a route or if it's a middleware, it moves to the next middleware in the code. But if the next function is called with an argument, and of course the error as an argument, then the execution will continue to the error handler middleware. Now, where is the error handler middleware? This is the error handler middleware, right? So with this, we could just simply just copy this part of the code into our own code and then we proceed. All right, so let's copy this and then let's go into the VS code. All right, so this is my VS code now. I'm simply just going to delete most of what we have here. Okay, so I could just delete this index.js dot okay, we could leave that post. Okay, so coming to this part, so here is the setup folder for this exercise 3.16. So at this point, this is just a duplicate of the previous exercise we had, which is step 3, right? So here we are going to be editing whatever we have here to suit exercise 3.16, which is step 4 of this particular aspect that we are working on, right? Okay, so let's just go into the index.js. All right, so we have something like this. Then we could just minimize this part and then minimize this part. So I am currently running this server, as we can see. All right, so what we need to do here is that we need to change all of these parts. We'll be having all these console log, res or status here, right? We are simply going to be passing the next function directly into them. But before we do that, let's work with the error handler middleware. So here we copied the error handler already, so we can just paste it here, because the material here, it expects that this middleware should be the last thing we have, right? It should be underneath the route, right? So that's why we are placing it here. So this is just a function which we can choose to place anywhere we want. So I decide to place mine here in this part of the code, right? So this works just fine. Okay, so having done this, now what we need to do is we don't need to put all this console log error, this res dot status 400 anymore. Here is what we can do. We could simply just take out this part of the code and then just type next, and then inside next we pass it an argument which is called error. Now this error is coming from the error we have here. So should there be any error in this route handler, right, in this delete request, the error is going to be passed in as an argument in this next function. And next function here is also is a parameter passed in to this delete function. So we could simply just do something like this, right? So we need to ensure that for us to use this method, we have to pass the next also as a parameter in the function, right? So we are going to be doing this for the rest of the route as well. Okay, so let's see how we can do that. We simply come here as well. We just type next and then we pass it error. This is for the post request. So let's remove this extra part, and then we remember to also pass next as a parameter. We do something similar to this route also. We say next error, and then we come here and then we pass in next as a parameter in this get handler. Okay, so I think this should work fine now. Let's ensure that everything is done properly. All right, now let's test if this works properly using the delete request, right? So we are expecting that if we pass in, if we try to delete a particular entry, right, that does not have the correct ID, we are expected to have the error that says malformatted ID, right? That should the error be a cast error. So let's let's maximize this and then let's go to the get. Let's see what we have in the get. Let's try to get the data we have. So right now, these are the data we have, right? So let's see if we can delete Anna, or before then, let's make a post request. Okay, let's see what we have in the get again. All right, so let's post dev with Excel here. Let's post it. So we have dev with Excel now. When we go to when we use the get, you can see that we are having dev with Excel as part of our data. Also, when we get into the database, this should be added to the database as well. All right, so what we can do here is let's try and see if we can delete dev with Excel, right? Let's copy this ID. Let's come here and then let's paste it here. Let's send. So it says 204 no content. So this is just trying to tell us that because we deleted this particular data with this ID, it becomes a no content, right? So let's see if we can still find dev with Excel as part of the data we have. Okay, so now it is gone, right? Now let's see if we can delete one of these entries using a wrong ID. So let's copy this ID, or let's just simply use the ID we copied for the dev with Excel, which still exists here, right? So let's click on send again. Okay, it's still giving us this. Okay, so what we can do is that let's just copy one of these IDs. Let's copy for Anna, and then let's place it here, and then let's pass it here, and then let's remove one of the digits here, which is 7. Then let's hit send. So it says error malformatted ID. So it understands that this ID is malformatted, right? And that's just the duty of the error handler, right? So this is almost the same thing as what we did. We did something like this in the previous exercise, right? Where we were able to add the necessary error handling to this endpoints, these routes, right? But here, what we just did is we tried to create an error handler that handles error for every route, right? So we don't have to individually do the console log and all that. We simply pass everything into just one function, which is this, and then we use it as a middleware. All right. So with this, I believe we've come to the end of this video. Let's go back to check if there are other things we might have missed out. All right. So it says move the error handling of the application to a new error handler middleware, which we just did here. So in later sections, I think we might still need to take this entire error handler, right? You might still need to take this entire part of the code to a new file or a different file, right? But as it is right now, it's still okay. We just leave it here, right? So with this, we've come to the end of this video, and thanks for joining in. If you found this video helpful, if you think it was useful and helpful, please give this video a like, subscribe to my channel. You can as well share this link, right? And see you in the next video. Bye.